as MacGyver, but he would return to television in a pretty major way in the TV series Stargate SG-1, which was a spin-off of the 1994 film, and he played the lead on that show from 1997 to 2005. Now, I can't go away from the character of MacGyver without mentioning his pocket knife. The one that you see him using mostly was the Spartan model of Swiss Army knife from Victorinox, but in the opening credits, the model you see was a Wenger. I don't know a lot about Swiss Army knives, but according to sources online, you can tell that by its keychain. I think most people just say he carries a Swiss Army knife. The other major character on the show was Pete Thornton, played by Dana Elcar. He's MacGyver's boss and I would say best friend. Worked with him at the DXS. Probably brought him over to the Phoenix Foundation as well. They're buddies, almost like brothers. Pete is one of the people who, when MacGyver's brains and pocket knife fail, he comes to the rescue. We learn that Thornton has a son named Michael. We see him in an episode where MacGyver has to come to the rescue. Later in the show, we learn that Pete has glaucoma, and this is because Dana Elcar developed glaucoma in real life, would later go blind from it. Ibsen Dana Elcar, his first name is Ibsen, was born in 1927, sadly passed away in 2005. He appeared in 40 films, but he's probably most remembered as Pete Thornton on MacGyver. He was originally in the pilot episode as another character, Andy Coulson, a different character completely. He would make his first regular appearance as Pete Thornton in the 11th episode of the first season. Some of the movies that you might have seen Elcar in are The Sting, 2010, All of Me, The Last Flight of Noah's Ark, The Champ, lots of great movies. He got one of his earlier starts on a soap opera. He was on the CBS daytime show The Guiding Light, where he played Andrew Murray starting in 1962. He also had a recurring role as Inspector Schiller on the TV show Beretta, which starred Robert Blake. Now, I'm going to talk about characters who recur but are not main characters, starting with Murdoch, played by Michael DeBar. Murdoch is this mysterious character who is the master of disguise, likes to take photos of his victims before he kills them, and he is very successful killing everyone except for anyone associated with MacGyver. He's in about 7 episodes of the show. Every time it's very memorable, and every time he pretty much dies at the end, and somehow comes back in a very improbable way. Michael DeBar played Murdoch. He was born in 1948. He's a British actor and singer. He's probably best known to everyone, though, playing Murdoch on MacGyver. He would also replace Robert Palmer in the band Power Station, and appeared in Live Aid in 1985. Bruce McGill played Jack Dalton, the sort of comic relief troublemaker of the show. He's a soldier of fortune, pilot. He's the type of character you would have seen on the TV show Magnum P.I. Would have been very happy to see him there too. He's full of get-rich schemes that often get MacGyver in trouble. Bruce Travis McGill, born in 1950, American actor, probably best known for his role in a couple of Michael Mann films, although he got his big break in the 1978 movie Animal House, where he played D-Day, but then he was of course kept in the mind of everybody for his recurring role as Jack Dalton. He's a great character actor, has a great look, very charismatic, brings a lot to the Jack Dalton role, who could be kind of annoying if he was not played by a very good actor. I'm going to blow through some of these other characters that recurred. You had Penny Parker, who was played by Terry Hatcher, kind of dim-witted, well-meaning, damsel in distress type on the show. Kind of gets MacGyver into trouble all the time. But she's endearing enough, very friendly. Wilt Bozer, played by Robin Mosley. You have Nikki Carpenter, who joins the Phoenix Foundation in the 3rd season. I thought she was going to be more of a love interest, but they probably got some letters about that. And then there's just innumerable other recurring characters to go into detail on. Helen Wilson, played by Susan Chappell. Harry Jackson, MacGyver's grandfather, played by John Anderson. When you got a show that runs for 7 seasons, there's just too many to name. Now, there were a lot of these secondary characters, and there was a lot of great talent behind them, but maybe it's time to learn a little bit more about just one of them. Here's Vic Sage with Why Should I Know This Person?
Hi friends, Vic Sage here with Why Should I Know This Person? For this go-around, I'm taking a look at character actor John Anderson, who played Harry Jackson, MacGyver's grandfather in that popular TV series. John Robert Anderson was born on October 20th, 1922, and garnered an impressive 242 acting credits before his untimely passing on August 7th, 1992. His youth was spent on a farm around Clayton, Missouri, and the young boy was commonly called J.R. But eventually he moved to Quincy, which some say was named after John Quincy Adams. An interesting fact, as Anderson would have the distinct privilege of portraying Abraham Lincoln 3 times throughout his career. And, truth be told, he certainly bore a rather strong resemblance to our 16th President of the United States. That wasn't the only time he played a president, as Anderson also portrayed Andrew Jackson twice, and even one time he played as Franklin Roosevelt. John served in the Coast Guard during World War II, aiding in the protection of the ships and convoys against U-boat attacks. It was in 1946 that he began studying at the University of Iowa, earning a master's degree in drama. Getting his start on television with a 1950 episode of Fireside Theater, the actor would find himself frequently bouncing between film and TV projects. Of his many roles, some highlights include 1960's Psycho, where he played California Charlie, the used car salesman who sells one of his vehicles to Janet Leigh's character. He also appeared in 1962's Ride the High Country with Randolph Scott and Joel McCrea. John was in 4 episodes of Rod Serling's The Twilight Zone. Of late, I think of Cliffordville, The Odyssey of Flight 33, The Old Man in the Cave, and one of my personal favorites, A Passage for Trumpet with Jack Klugman. Other notable appearances include The Outer Limits, Gunsmoke, Quincy M.E., North and South, Dallas, and Smokey and the Bandit 2, where he played the role of the Governor. Not only did Anderson play a handful of presidents, but he also played Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis twice, the Commissioner of Baseball from 1920 to 1944. And while his last name is Anderson, John was in fact no relation to Richard Dean Anderson. This has been Vic Sage with Why Should I Know This Person? Signing off until next time.
Thanks, Vic. The show first broadcast on September 29th, 1985. It would do pretty well during its run, became a sleeper hit for ABC during its second season. Landing in the top 50 for shows, was the lead-in for ABC's Monday Night Football. By the time the show was getting into its final seasons, there just wasn't a lot of spend on marketing, and Richard Dean Anderson would actually complain about this. So the 7th season was abbreviated, and the 12th episode of the show was aired on December 30th, 1991, and wouldn't return until April 25th, 1992. At that point, the show had been canceled, and a previously unaired episode would follow on May 21st of 1992. ABC would replace the show with The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, which was produced by George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. And they thought this is going to be a hit. It's based on Indiana Jones. Unfortunately, it never really caught on. I was one of the people very excited for The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles and watched its entire run. But I gotta admit, it didn't have that sort of hook that MacGyver had. And while it's probably a show I will cover here, when I compare it to MacGyver, I realize that because they were trying to explain a character I already knew something about, it failed to lock me in because there was no growth that I could see, or I knew what the growth was going to be, so I was never surprised. While reading about the show, especially those letters that people were writing, one of the more interesting incidents about MacGyver happened during an episode that they were filming about poachers. The show spent a lot of money making a fake rhinoceros, and in that, the animal was destroyed. And viewers thought that it was a real rhino and sent letters in complaining. So it shows you, even though the show didn't have the production value of The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, it's a pricey show. They spent $40,000 on that rhino, and it fooled people. So some high production values on this show if you've never watched it. As the show came to an end, it was released worldwide, and it became a big hit. The show became so popular around the world that they released 2 movies for it, for television. Those were MacGyver, Lost Treasure of Atlantis, and MacGyver, Trail to Doomsday. Both were filmed in Europe, and both are great if you're hungry for more MacGyver. Reruns of the show still air all around the world constantly, and all 7 seasons of the show have been released on DVD, as well as the 2 made-for-TV movies. There's a single release entitled MacGyver, the TV movies you could pick up. Now, there was a lot of great episodes of MacGyver, but which ones are the best? Here's Metagirl with the top 5 episodes of MacGyver.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Greetings, Retro fans! This is Metagirl, bringing you the top 5 episodes from the action-adventure series, the original MacGyver. At number 5 is Season 2, Episode 11, Phoenix Under Siege. Original air date, January 5th, 1987. MacGyver and his grandpa Harry have plans to go to a hockey game. However, when they swing by the Phoenix Foundation to pick up the tickets, they uncover a terrorist plot to blow up the building. MacGyver must apply all of his ingenuity to defuse the bomb before detonation. Will he devise a solution in time? Number 4 is Season 2, Episode 18, Partners. Original air date, March 2nd, 1987. What's old is what's new again, as MacGyver and Pete find their lives in jeopardy at the hands of Murdoch, the absurdly theatrical criminal who they thought had been killed long ago, that became Mac's arch-rival over the course of the series. In his clutches again, Mac and Pete recall the first time that they were faced with death at the hands of Murdoch, an occasion 7 years earlier that also marked the day that they met. Number 3 is Season 5, Episode 6, Halloween Nights. Original air date, October 30th, 1989. Unwilling to accept Murdoch's retirement from their criminal organization, a cartel of assassins abducts his sister. Murdoch turns to his nemesis, MacGyver, for help. They form an uneasy alliance and crash an awesomely 80s Halloween party on a mission to rescue Murdoch's sister from Death Row, a delightfully elaborate collection of traps, machine guns, and snakes. At number 2 is Season 4, Episode 9, Cleo Rocks. Original air date, February 6th, 1989. Penny Parker, played by Terry Hatcher, gets the lead in a rock opera, and MacGyver goes to the theater to watch her rehearse. A string of mysterious accidents beset the actress. At last, it is revealed that the villainous Murdoch staged the entire musical, complete with sets, cast, and producer, to lure MacGyver and Pete to their end. As usual, Murdoch's revenge scheme is gratuitously complex, implausible, and awesome to watch. Did he build a dungeon under the theater stage? You betcha. And the number 1 episode of MacGyver is Season 3, Episode 4, Ghost Ship. Original air date, October 19th, 1987. While mapping uncharted wilderness in Alaska, MacGyver discovers an abandoned ship. Always at the mercy of his own curiosity, he boards the ship and discovers Bigfoot. Mac narrowly escapes a Yeti mauling with a young female Russian stowaway in tow. They then stumble upon thieves stealing oil from a nearby pipeline before a final confrontation with the Sasquatch. And there you have it, the Retroist's top 5 episodes of the original television series, MacGyver. Until next time, list fans, this has been Metagirl.
Thanks, Metagirl. The music from MacGyver was performed and written by Randy Edelman. Edelman was born in Paterson, New Jersey in 1947. He's 69 right now. He was a big collaborator with Ivan Reitman, producing several of his scores, including Twins, which I love, not just the movie Twins, but the soundtrack. And he also worked on Ghostbusters 2 and Kindergarten Cop. For TV shows, MacGyver is probably his biggest work, although on television he also did the music for The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., the Bruce Campbell Western from the 90s. MacGyver changed a lot of how people perceive heroes and the need for them to be smart and use their brain. These so-called MacGyverisms would also be parodied, most famously in recent history on Saturday Night Live, where they created the MacGruber character, and that would eventually become a motion picture that got released in theaters, something the original TV show never got. In 2012, a comic series, MacGyver Fugitive Gauntlets, was released. Had pretty favorable reviews and used original characters. Last issue, issue 5, was released on February 27, 2013. Even though people seemed to like it, not enough, I guess, did, and we never got more of the MacGyver comic. If you're a fan of MacGyver, want to see the printed word of MacGyver, there was a MacGyver book called MacGyver on Ice, which was a original story, 128 pages, so pretty small. The plot takes place somewhere between the first and second seasons. characters are just slightly different, but it's kind of interesting to see. There were some toys created for MacGyver, none of which I have ever seen in person, but I've been looking online and my mind has been blown. I think a lot of these were released for the international market, and in packages, their prices are astronomical. MacGyver has appeared again, with Richard Dean Anderson playing him for